Control. This is the final step of the Six Sigma process. Define, measure, analyze, improve, control. And so control is, as it suggests, how are you going to maintain what you have changed in this organization? How are you going to keep it where it needs to be? But don't keep it there, lock it in so it never changes. Obviously, conditions change, you might have to change it again, but the key is to do it deliberately, right? It's not where it starts to drift on its own, right? If it's pieces of equipment that you're working with, you may have some calibration issues and it starts to drift off. Well, where do you set up that alarm, right? There has to be an alarm where if it passes this specific value, remember this is all measured, if it passes, goes beyond or below this specific value, it has to have some kind of alert that it has exceeded the area of which it's optimized, right? That's what it's all about. And so the control phase is kind of easy to do if you're good at digital systems and you're working in manufacturing or in operations. You may have a digital system that allows you to build in some type of control, whether in manufacturing, for example, as a composite reaches a certain ratio or as it approaches a certain ratio. You may be a little more as the rate of change using calculus. You may be working with PID loops, proportional integral derivative loops, and you've got data constantly flowing back and forth, feedback data. So you just tap into that, get that data out at a stream coming out in real time, and as the rate of change starts to exceed a certain rate of acceleration, then it sets up this little alarm that could notify the machine itself to recalibrate, or it could notify somebody, through a text or email or some kind of an alert, or some places it's an actual physical alarm goes off, a bell, that all hands on deck. This is starting to drift off too far. We're gonna be out of spec. We can't have that, and so that's easy, right? That's easy on the physical side. However, when it's people, it's a little different, right? That you don't want folks slipping back into doing the things that they used to do before you made this improvement, right? And people tend to do that, right? They did it this way for 5 years, and along comes you, and you are changing this because it's going to do this great thing. And so then over time, yeah, we made the change, we all agree it's better, but you get up the next day, you get up the next day, you get up the next day, and all of a sudden you're doing it the way you did before, because you're just used to it. I remember the other day, I changed units in my building, and I used to live on 15, now I live on 25. Well, what happened is that I moved from the 4th floor below parking to the 3rd floor. I can't tell you how many times I went to the 4th floor before it finally got through my head, I'm on the 3rd floor for parking. But you just do that. And then I went to the 3rd floor, but every once in a while, so it's a natural occurrence. People tend to slip back into doing things the way they used to do them. So how are you going to set up a safeguard in order to prevent that from happening? That's the key. So some kind of observation, obviously, direct observation. But being alert, being in the space certainly helps, but having everyone informed. So it might take, a series of meetings. You might have to have a meeting every week to make sure that this is going well, and that every week meeting might go on for 6 months to make sure that it's flowing the way it should. So these progress meetings where people report out on these specific areas or where there might be issues and how to come up with solutions to these issues, which you do at progress meetings and projects, that you're talking about these things and you're deliberately bringing this up. Is this still the way it is? And so there's multiple ways to do that. And then on the end, when you got the actual product or service out the door, you measure there too. But I kind of, I really don't like that. I really don't like that. And in the spirit of Six Sigma, and especially Deming, you need to design quality into the process before you engage in the process. It's in the design. It's not in the quality at the end where you're going to find out when it's too late, right? That's the deal. You don't want to find out when it's too late. You don't want to find out when say, in the physical sense, when chiller number 5 has a discharge temperature of 60 degrees and you have 1,000 hot complaints in your skyscraper, right? You'd want to find out way before then, so somebody can go in there and correct it, and nobody knows the difference, right? So it's the same with people. You want to find out when it starts to slip back into the old behavior before it turns into a situation where you got to redo the whole project. Would be the worst case scenario, because the Six Sigma projects do take a lot of resources. So I'm going to leave it there, that these projects do require a lot of time. They require a lot of effort. They require a lot of analysis, as you found out. And so you certainly want them to continue to give that gift, be the gift that continues to give, and that it stays intact. And then until next time, right? Until next time, when you engage in a different kind of improvement based on what the environment is saying, right? The markets are saying what is going on with resources, what is going on with different trends in your industry, where you deliberately change it. And so don't lock it in so tight that you could never change it. Obviously, you don't want to do that. You want to give some kind of flexibility to the process so that you can continue to improve again. And you just keep on going through it and through it and through it. And that's why Six Sigma folks are very valuable to organizations, because they're always looking around under every rock for a way to do it better. In the spirit of Jack Welch, was the CEO of GE, and that's what he was famous for. He said, everybody is going through Six Sigma. If you sweep the floor, you're going to find a better way to sweep that floor. So with that, I hope you enjoy your project.